What's up, guys? It's Dan from Coin Bureau Trading. Today, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin's mini cycle, when altcoins are going to catch up to Bitcoin. And yes, we will be taking a look at Aptos later on in the video, as well as the one factor that could derail this rally. If this is the kind of content that you enjoy, then be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, ping that notification bell. Before we get started, do keep in mind that nothing in this video is financial advice. It's just my personal analysis of the crypto market. Your analysis could be different, and if it is, that's awesome, because the more difference of opinion that we have, the better traders and the better investors we're all going to become. So first things first, guys, here, going to the Bitcoin mini cycle. For those of you who are unfamiliar, a Bitcoin mini cycle is basically this 10-day period, roughly speaking, where Bitcoin prices tend to melt up or melt down. And basically the next Bitcoin mini cycle seems to be starting in the next couple of days here. And what's really interesting is that typically between these mini cycles, you kind of have like a reset phase, which is what I've noted here. And this reset phase basically resets sentiment and positioning so that you can basically have like another move higher or lower, right? And sometimes this mini cycle is a nothing burger, sometimes a mini cycle is huge. And this time around, what's really interesting, of course, is that Bitcoin has rallied a lot in this mini cycle. And what's interesting is if we go back in history, when you tend to see these melt ups before or I guess between mini cycles, when there's melt ups between mini cycles, that typically means that we're going to be entering a very bullish mini cycle, if that makes any sense. Basically, if the reset phase leading up to a mini cycle is super bullish, then the mini cycle itself is probably going to be very bullish, and that's what looks likely. I guess long story short is that means that for the next 10 days here, roughly speaking, Bitcoin could continue going up, and I personally believe, and feel free to disagree in the comments, I personally believe that Bitcoin will probably be topping somewhere in the middle of this month. So either not this week, but either next week or the week after. And by the end of the month, I actually think that's when altcoins are going to start rallying, which of course, or rather catching up, which brings us to Bitcoin dominance. And as you guys can see here, we're looking at Bitcoin dominance on the weekly. And yeah, actually, after last week's close, it looks like that Bitcoin dominance will get a little bit of a bump up. And I've basically outlined the range where it could rally here, maybe up to around 60%, possibly as high as 61%. Contrary to popular belief, a rally in Bitcoin dominance does not mean that everything else goes down. This would probably be a result of some kind of bullish catalyst related to Bitcoin, some strategic Bitcoin reserve, something like that, right? That would cause Bitcoin to rally, basically Bitcoin to rally again, like in this 10-day mini cycle. And basically, once Bitcoin has rallied up to that 60%, 61% level, it would get a rejection, technically speaking, from this Bollinger Band moving average on the weekly, and then it would continue rolling over into the end of the month, meaning that that's when altcoins would rally. Basically, in the next week or two, Bitcoin's going to continue rallying hard, and then as we approach the end of the month, altcoins will finally start to get a big breakout higher. If you don't believe me, then you can look at the charts of ETH BTC, Sol BTC, and but I guess the main one, of course, is ETH BTC, because if you look under the hood of Bitcoin dominance, guys, you'll notice that most of Bitcoin dominance comes from BTC pairings of these large altcoins like ETH BTC, right? And you can see it on the monthly chart here for ETH BTC that it looks like there's a bull flag forming here for ETH BTC, which suggests that, probably by the end of this month, we're going to see ETH BTC at a much higher level. At the latest, next month, you would see like a breakout, a confirmation of this bull flag. And if it's a little bit hard to see here on the monthly for ETH BTC, then look at ETH on the weekly, guys. Like, this is absolutely amazing. ETH saw an amazing weekly close last week, and maybe there'll be some small rejection here this week, maybe a small red week or something, or maybe just chop. But you can clearly see here, guys, that this bull flag for Ethereum on the weekly is forming. It's looking very strong, and it's only a matter of time before it breaks out. And I do think it's going to break out by the end of the month. And if we zoom out to the monthly, guys, here you can see same idea. It does look like Ethereum is painting some kind of a bull flag here, and that by the end of this month, Ethereum can be at a much higher level than people expect. Somewhere around potentially around 5.5 or even 6,000. So again, long story short, looks like Bitcoin is going to continue melting up here at least for the next week or so. By the middle of the month, Bitcoin dominance would probably have topped out and by the end of the month, it'll be basically rolling over again. This can be seen in the ETH BTC chart, and it is supported as well by Ethereum, which on the weekly, looks absolutely fantastic. It really looks like it's going to get some bull flag breakout here. And if you are looking to go long on ETH or any of these cryptos, or going long, short Bitcoin, or just trading crypto in general, then do go to the description here, guys. Click on that more button, and you'll see this first deal, BitGet up to 50,000 USDT deposit bonus. Just click on that link. It'll take you to a page that looks like this. That's where you can sign up using our exclusive exclusive deal. The Coin Bureau does have a partnership with BitGet. Of course, these deals, up to 50,000 USDT, you do have to do quite a bit to get that amount of capital. But the thing is, guys, on a personal note, I will say I think BitGet is an awesome exchange, and you should definitely check them out. They have spot trading, they have tokenized stocks, a whole bunch of awesome features, and it's an exchange that I think is even like the BitGet token. If you guys watch my review, I actually think the BitGet token is going to do really well because relative to the relative to the volume that the exchange is doing versus the value of the token, looking at something like BNB or these other exchange tokens. Anyways, you can check out that review if you want. It's on the channel here as well, and that'll help you guys set up if you're not sure how to set up a BitGet account. So do check out that link down in the description. Anyways, guys, to wrap things up here, looking at Aptos, of course, what I've been saying, many people in the comments had been asking about Aptos, like what's going on? Is it, are you still bullish? Of course, I'm still bullish. I'm bullish on everything I hold. And you guys can see that finally Aptos has broken above the Bollinger Band moving average on the weekly. This is something that I had been mentioning in the comments is like, hey guys, like once we finally see Aptos break above the Bollinger Band moving average on the weekly, that's when we're going to start to see some really explosive price action. And of course, that's what I do expect to happen here in the next couple of weeks. This week, maybe there'll be a little bit of chop, some consolidation before a continuation higher. But it's worth remembering, guys, well, first of all, of course, the reason why I have these trend lines drawn is because I do think that Aptos is going to rally back up to the upper level of this range in the coming weeks. So somewhere around $19 or $20. Let's say if you want to be super conservative, you can say somewhere around 17. But what's really interesting is if we go back in time here, guys, and this is what people forget, look at what happened to Aptos in early 2023. You can see that Aptos within 3 weeks, it went from around $3 to $20 in 3 weeks. So these are the types of moves that people forget, whether it's for Aptos or for other altcoins. People are so conditioned that like, oh, it must take months and months and months. There's no way that we can have some kind of explosive move. But you don't have to go back that far, whether it's for Aptos or for any other crypto for that matter. Look in their price history. You'll see that historically speaking, these cryptos would go up very aggressively and very quickly in a very short period of time. And this is what everyone forgets. And when I say, oh, I think that this level is going to be hit by this day, people are like, that's impossible. It's going to take so much time. And, it's really funny, like even with something like Bitcoin, when we were back down, whatever it was at 108,000, if I told you like, that within a week or two's time that we would be back to 125,000, you'd say, no, there's no way. It's going to take too much time. We fell too much. It's going to take so much time to recover those losses. And here we are, right? Back at new all-time highs, literally within 2 weeks. So that's something to keep in mind, especially as it relates to altcoins, because again, I do think that by the end of this month, you're going to start to see a lot of capital rotating into altcoins. Of course, it's going to start with the large caps like Ethereum and Solana and Sui and these types, but that will work its way down the list. And going into November, I think you're going to see very explosive moves for altcoins like Aptos. With all of that being said, there is one big caveat, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video. One thing to keep on your radar, of course, is the US dollar, aka the DXY. As you guys know, historically speaking, the DXY, like basically a first leg lower, when it would have like a medium-term downtrend, the first leg lower would be a Bitcoin rally, and then there would be some chop, and then second leg lower would be altcoin season. If we look here on the weekly, you can see that the DXY is squeezing on the weekly, so it suggests that there's going to be a big move in the DXY. As you guys will know, government shutdowns, either during or after the government shutdown, that typically causes the DXY to drop. We haven't really seen that significantly yet. I still think that's coming, but the one thing I do need to flag though, guys, is that on the off chance that the DXY starts squeezing to the upside, that could really be a headwind, maybe not necessarily for Bitcoin, but that would definitely be a headwind for altcoins. So this is something to watch very closely. And, even on shorter term timeframes, just keep an eye out and try and see, what the trends are there. Because again, when the DXY gets a little move higher, like it did here on Monday, then of course, naturally you go over to something like Ethereum or some other altcoin and you look on the daily here on the 4 hour, and you can see, oh, like it looks like it's starting to struggle a little bit. And that's not a coincidence, guys. That's because the DXY saw a little bit of a bump, and that's really a headwind, especially for altcoins. So keep an eye out on that, of course, for the next couple of weeks. But I do think that, either during the government shutdown or once the government shutdown is over, the DXY should fall, and we'll get that altcoin season. As a fun fact, if you want a specific catalyst there, once the Trump administration starts doing layoffs as a result of this shutdown, that's probably going to be the catalyst that takes the DXY lower. And because I believe those layoffs technically haven't started, at least not yet. But anyways, guys, if you did make it this far and you did find that information helpful, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, ping the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.